So is what it is. But coming out of the game, you and Alex were pissed. I was pissed, of course, too. But obviously, us in the group chat, we all know how it went. But you guys were calling for his head already, man. What's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been calling for his head for a while, so it's just kind of on board for me to say that to him or to you all about him. But I don't know, man. It's just you talk about Ohio State, and you could honestly say that they should have beat him a couple times by now. There's probably 3 to 4 games that come to mind where it's like, we lost that game. Like, Ohio State made
Yeah,
plays for sure. Obviously, the goal line stand was a great play, and then obviously the interception in the end zone was just a great play by that kid. There's not really much you could have done there if you are Drew. Harrison Walsh just
fuck
kind of got
that play,
benched.
bro.
Um, but yeah, with James. I don't know. For me, and I'm sure we'll get into a lot. I don't even know if we're gonna talk about Washington. I really don't care. I really don't care about. I care about the game this weekend. Obviously, they have to win out. Saw they came in at number 6. That's awesome. Um, but it's about the program. Like, I think this episode in particular should be about the program, where it is. What's happened these past couple games against Ohio State and teams like Ohio State, and the inability to win as an underdog. I mean, it's teams across the country find ways to win against superior teams with less talent than what we have. I'm not knocking South Carolina, but they've done it. They've done it twice. They did it with Tennessee, just did it with Texas A&M. Vandy just beat Bama. I mean, it's just us. Like, we can't do it. Even this time,
Yeah.
this was the biggest build up to any game against Ohio State I think there's been. Everyone was
Oh,
there,
absolutely.
and it just still, you go up 10-0, everything's there for the taking again, and then you just fall flat, man. And
Yeah.
we'll talk about it, and we'll get into some players, I'm sure, but not impressive, man, to me. Just
Yeah.
tightens the grip for James, for me and a lot of other people. And I think that, on Twitter, at least, I know in our group chat, there's people that'll defend Franklin at all costs. Um, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with you defending James. I don't. I love James. The person is a great guy. I have no doubt he's a great guy. But as a
Yeah.
football coach, he's done nothing but, for us as fans, we look like the biggest frauds year in and year out. And
I mean, he's definitely left a lot to be desired on the field at times. At times, obviously, we've had great success as a program, but we want to get to that next level, and you're not going to do that when you lose to top 10, top 5, top 15 teams pretty much every time you go out on the field and play them.
yeah,
So, I definitely understand the frustration, man, but it's we expected to lose. Like it is what it is.
that's the
I mean,
problem. So
that
I'm good with that. And
yeah, I know. I shouldn't have said it is what it is, but
I
you know what
said
I
that
mean? Like,
on the podcast last week. I said, I'm expecting to lose. I predicted a loss. Like, I
yeah,
predicted
yeah,
it.
we all
I
did.
said it wouldn't. I said it wouldn't bother me. I said, I'm not going to get too bent out of shape over it. But the reality is, I'm not mad that we lost to Ohio State again. That it's not. It's not. If you take Ohio State out of the equation, it's not even about Ohio State really. It's about
No matter
the
the way we
inability
lost.
to win a game where you're a dog, like where you're an underdog, and then it's another game where you're up 10-0, and you
Yeah,
don't score. You only score 3 more points the rest of the game. Like, we find ways to lose these big games on our own. Michigan last year, they ran it 30 something times in a row. Defense got stops. I had no problem there. We couldn't score. It doesn't, you bring in another AC or OC. I like AK. I don't have a problem with AK. We moved the ball between the 20s just fine.
yeah.
When it came to the red zone, we
I
got
was just
locked
about to
down.
say it felt like you said when you sit here and say, we got up 10 nothing, and it was early. And then when you sit here and say we only scored 3 points the rest of the way, it's like, bro, no fucking way. Like, we moved the ball. Like that wasn't an issue. It was converting in the red zone. converting at the goal line,
Yeah.
fucking converting third down again. Did better than we did last year against Ohio State on third down.
Yeah.
But he only came out this year with one more point. Like,
I
the
think,
same shit, different year, different problem. It's something different every year, bro. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
But the way for offensive coordinator, because a lot of people are saying that, and they were, and Franklin said it himself. They came here for these games, and that's not a controversial statement. That's just the truth. But there is a. I know we only scored 13 points. I'm aware of that. Only 6 of it was offensive or whatever. What was it?
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah, 6.
yeah, 6. So the game this year and the game last year, as far as offensively against Ohio State, were completely different. We did nothing last year. We did absolutely nothing
Right. Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
We didn't move the ball at all. So that wasn't the problem this year.
Right.
We still moved the ball, but when you got in the red zone, we got nothing. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can't get inside the 5-yard line twice and then score no points and expect to beat a team like Ohio State. It's just not going to happen, bro. For those of you asking in the chat, I saw Alex is working. Work has been fucking him over. He was going to join us tonight, but he ended up getting busy. So I might do some content with him later in the week. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, no Alex tonight, just me and TK. So here we are. But yeah, man, that game was so frustrating. Like I said, just another way to blow a lead, to lose to Ohio State. Extremely frustrating. Extremely. I came out of the stadium extremely pissed off. I'm sure everyone did. But, like I said earlier, you guys were going crazy the rest of the night, man. Look,
dude,
I get it.
You have to think about
I
it.
get it, bro. Like you haven't wanted to keep James, but
what we're going crazy about though is it's the for me and Alex who agrees with me on this, so I'm absolutely fuming he's not here. Like from the fan base, it is a little bit of complacency of where we are. Like, and that's frustrating to me. Like, whether it's your job or the football team you support, whatever. Like, at the end of the day, there's a difference between saying James has done a great job from where he was to where we are now. There's no debating that. If James left right now on his own, got fired, he left Penn State in a much better place than he got it. I have no problem with that. I give him a ton of credit for that. But at the end of the day, like, being okay with 10-2 every year, we win 10 games. A lot of teams in the country would win 10 games a year with the teams we've been playing. That's just the way it is. Like, and that's when you get into everyone on Twitter or analysts or whatever the fuck they call themselves, saying Penn State's fraudulent or they're overrated. You give them no reason not to say that. Like, your biggest games of the year, you lose. Like,
here's where I get pissed off, man. Like, and we do this every fucking time, and we complain about it every time. Penn State comes into the season highly ranked, just like we did this year. Start out the season looking great. Everything's fine. People want to hype us up. But at the same time, going into games like West Virginia, going into games like Illinois, going into games like Minnesota, because I've already heard the comments. Alex has made the comments. People are going to say, oh, Penn State should watch out. Penn State's going to trip up over this team. Penn State on upset alert. And then we beat them, typically beat the shit out of them. And then those same people want to come back and say, oh, well, you should do that against a team like that. Pick which side you want to fucking be on, bro. Like, you can't have it both ways, dude. Like, you can't say, oh, this team is looking good, you should watch out for them, and then say, oh, no, it's a piece of shit team. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Now, Indiana, the other side of the coin, has played pretty much no one. And there's a difference when I say Penn State wins 10 games a year but doesn't play anyone. Penn State is winning 10 games a year, and their strength of schedule and strength of record is not 108 like Indiana's is. There is a difference. Like, whatever, no matter how bad Wisconsin is, and they're not a horrible football team. They're really not. And neither is Minnesota, who will play later in the year. But playing at Wisconsin even when they suck at night in a primetime game, for the committee, for example, for today, the committee every year, doesn't matter if it's Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State, anybody who plays at Wisconsin at night and wins, they value that. They value that because it's Wisconsin. Just like if someone who was a top 15 team who was ranked behind Penn State, not someone like an Ohio State, maybe someone like a Michigan State, or if, LSU, somebody came to Penn State and won at Penn State as a higher ranked team than Penn State, they're giving them credit for that regardless. When Penn State was in sanctions, or Penn State was fresh out of sanctions and they were dogs at home and they lost at home, much like they did this past weekend, those teams are still getting a lot of credit for that win. Like, you still
because of the environment.
Penn State, for Ohio State, for example, 111,000 people were there, and they went in and got a goal line stand right in front of the student section, got an interception at the end of the half right in front of the student section, and then realistically, they ran it down our throats the last 4 minutes to seal the game and end the game with the ball in their hand. That's what dominant teams do. It just is like that. That's the thing. But I hope at some point you get into on here tonight why Penn State is difficult to get people to, because I think that's important. I do. And I bitch about receivers more than anyone, because I truly think the ones we have are not up to par for what they need to be. Right. And I don't think we've recruited at the level they need to be there. But there is a reason, not just money related, that it would be difficult to get another coach at Penn State that is doing what James is doing. As annoying as 10 wins can be, as crazy as that is to say, it could be difficult to find someone to do that. That is true.
Yeah.
And I agree with the people in the chat who say that. I get that.
And that's always my biggest pushback. And that's the only reason why I'm not fully on board this fire James Franklin train. Like, I'm just as frustrated as you and Alex and everybody else are. Like, it frustrates the hell out of me that we can't get over this proverbial hump. But like, people got to understand, man, like, yes, Penn State is a great brand, great program, obviously great fans, pack out the stadium every weekend. Doesn't matter how well the team is doing. You're going to get 95,000 plus fans at the very least. But Penn State, I hate calling it the middle of nowhere because I love it here, but bro, we're in the middle of nowhere, dog. Like, like, it is what it is. And, we all know about the big hoopla that was made about the fucking State College Airport a couple weeks ago by James Franklin. That is a real issue, bro. And I've mentioned it in the group chat before, and I'm not sure a lot of people know this, but Penn State has had coaches deny the job. James Franklin has had assistant coaches deny the job that he's offering them simply because of the travel that it takes to get here, how fucking hard it is to get here. Coaches who have come here, we've had coaches come here and their families haven't come here because of how hard it is to get out and go on vacation in summer, because you can't simply go down the street to the airport and fly wherever you want in the country. You got to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours to go wherever you want to go. It's not like, it's a great program, great job. In my opinion, we're a top 10 job, like, easily. But there are these little asterisks that come along with it, and it's not for everybody. And we have guys in our chat and there are other fans in the fan base that say, fire Franklin and replace him with anybody. Bro, you can't do that. First of all, no serious program would do that. So let's just get that out of the way for starters. Second of all, you can't do that when you're Penn State, bro. Like, you have to have a plan lined up. Like, basically, if you're going to fire James Franklin, you can't be searching for 3 months to fill the job and fall back on plan X, Y, and Z. Like, and expect it to work out. So, I mean, if you're going to fire Franklin and you want to stay at least at the level that we're at, that's the thing. We've seen Nebraska, Texas, Florida, many other programs fire or just have a coach retire, but get rid of a coach that's given them a lot of success, taken them to national championships, put them on this national pedestal, and then they fire their coach, and then they fall down to the depths for years. I personally don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to take that chance go back to that and then have to wait 10, 15 years to
we're in
fire
like
or to hire the next great coach.
we're in like what I would say fan hell almost, and like
Yes.
we're like in the best fan hell possible, right?
Yeah.
I saw Donahue put
Yeah.
out
It's a good hell,
something.
but not really.
Yeah, Donahue put out something where like he's favored, like when Penn State's favored under James in the last 2 seasons or whatever, they're like 20. They have one loss, like they're 22-1 or something like that. And when they're not favored, they're 0-6. For me, we've been living off of the 2016 Ohio State game for a long time, like for a long time. Like we don't have anything else right now.
Yeah.
So I think part of it for me and what I would imagine is a lot of the fans is like it's time to re-up. Like it's time to give us something else to hold on to. Like because the fans, for all of our shortcomings as a fan base, and there are some for sure. Um, the fans show up week in and week out. Since
Yeah.
Kraft's taken over, the NIL has gone up. It's not elite by any means, but it's doable. It's doing better.
Yeah.
The fans don't, and they're I know someone's going to say we're not owed anything or something, and that's fair and that's true. I agree, but at some point, like you need to give them something. Like
Right.
like sometimes it's a a snarky press conference, or it's you're not getting the information you want, or you lose a big game, then it's the same sentence you say every time you lose.
Yep.
For it might not piss someone off who's my age or your age to the level and the level of some of the older guys in the fan base that have the means, like the big money to donate and really donate program changing money.
Right.
That's who he really is talking to. Like if he pisses me off, like I'm not sending you millions of dollars anyway. I don't have it to send it to you. But like
Yeah, like I got $3 for you.
5-year-old who absolutely loves Penn State, his whole family went to Penn State. His grandkids are going to go to Penn State. He's got a suite and pays $10,000 a year for it. That's the guy you're pissing off. Like that's the guy you're actually pissing off. And those are really the people that would change to what Georgia did a couple of years ago when they went all in. That would be what it looks like. It would take some of those people from that generation to go all in and make it a program changing type donation for NIL or whatever it may be. And that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me. It's like, dude, like those are the people you need to cater to. Like that's the situation. He does everything right off the field, and people will say no. And there's been players that have made really bad decisions on their own that he got rid of immediately.
Yeah.
Everything outside off the football field, he does right. He doesn't have any problems. Like he handles himself the right way. He handles himself the way Penn State as a university would want him to handle himself. That's all great. But at the end of the day, you have to give them something. Like it's time for it to come back. Like it's time for it to come back a little bit. Like 2016 was a long time ago now. Like it really was. Like and the 2016 game, as great as it was, as much of a spectacle as that wasn't like a dominant game either. Like it's not like we dominated that game. Like the blocked field goal was
No, we completed 9 passes in that game.
Yeah.
Like
so and he's had a lot of chances, man. Like Michigan and Ohio State, for the past 5 years have been opportunities every year, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like and eventually, and like we're talking about the playoff today. Number 6, they came in at number 6. They host the playoff game. No matter who they play, like if they host or if they don't host, if they make the playoff, which isn't a guarantee, which some people don't realize, if they make
you
the
still
playoff,
got 4 games to win.
If they make the playoff, no matter who he plays in that first round, that's a big game.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't have to be a top 10 team, but that's a massive game. That is a massive chance again for him.
And in my opinion, it's that game would be very telling for James Franklin in these big games, because I mean, let's face it, bro, his record in these big games is obviously horrible, but most of those big games are Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest excuse that, Franklin backers can have. It is valid. It's also very much an excuse, But if you can go in the first round of the playoffs and you can beat what's very likely going to be a top 10 team, I mean, dude,
That's fine.
right there's your key. You can dangle that and say, look, I can get you these big wins. We just need X to beat Ohio State. And
Yeah.
in my opinion, you might be able to get it. You might have to do that a couple times before it actually happens. But if you can get these first round playoff wins, maybe second round playoff wins, and really take yourself somewhere and really show that it literally is just an Ohio State problem, then I don't know. Maybe you can get some fans back on the boat
Yeah.
for it. Maybe you can get some donations in. I don't know, man. Like, but it's definitely an opportunity. You got to get there first. You got 4 games from now until then, but it's an opportunity for sure.
Yeah. I did want to say I saw the chat come through. Someone said, wait till you see how shitty the team's going to be next year. Um, there's a, I don't agree with that at all. I think that a lot of these people will have the opportunity and very well might come back that are on this team this year. Um,
Yeah,
I don't think Drew should go to the draft this year. I don't think Nick or Katron will make any waves in the draft as of right now. Does that mean they'll stay? Does that mean they could transfer for money somewhere else? They could. But I don't
right.
think this team next year, Penn State, one thing that I will give James credit for outside of 2021 with the Clifford injury and 2020, I don't think Penn State under James will ever be quote unquote just flat out shitty. Like, I don't think so.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
he recruits at a level that won't allow them to be flat out shitty, for one. Um, do I have some buffs with some of the coordinators right now? Yes. But AK, offensively, that is a top coordinator in college football. Like, whether you like it
Yeah.
or not, whether we're not pleased with the final result from last weekend, that's the reality. Now, you want to talk about somebody like in my opinion, like a Phil Trout in the biggest games where we're getting moved offensively, like the linemen are getting pushed around. That's a problem. You want to talk about Barnes in big games when they're getting pushed around? That's a problem. But the team's not going to be shitty. Like, a lot of people have forgotten about like a Zariah Fisher. Like,
Yeah.
he was people were saying he had a chance to get serious burn this year and push for a starting job. Like, Denai
Yep.
Dennis Sutton, why would he leave? What has he done? Why the fuck would he leave? Like,
Zane
Wheatley
Durant
will
at
be
this
back.
point could come back.
Wheatley will be back. AJ Harris will be back. Rojas will be back. Kobe King should learn from what he saw last year from someone else very near and dear to him and stay as well. Like, it's not going to be shitty. Like, and
Yeah.
the only reason we think
It'll
it's
be
going to
okay.
be shitty is because we just lost to Ohio State.
Bro,
Like,
we get so down on this team when we lose to Ohio State. That's the thing that really irks me sometimes. Like we lose to one of the best programs in the country every year. One of like literally one of the top 3 programs in the country, top 2 of all time. Literally every year. Yeah, it's fucking sucks. Like you got to get one of them. You got to get 2. Like come on. You got to get one of them.
yeah,
But like losing to that program in a close game every time, like literally every fucking time it's a close game, that doesn't make you a shitty program. Like, let's stop acting like we're a shitty program because we lose to Ohio State. Like, so does
yeah.
fucking
I
everybody
don't,
else, minus
I don't,
Clemson and Georgia
I want to reiterate when I say that
and
the
Michigan
playoff,
past couple years. But
like the playoff isn't a guarantee. I'm not saying that that we're gonna lose one of those games. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I've said 11-1 all year. That's why I said I
yeah,
wouldn't be upset about losing to Ohio State or burn the boats or anything like that. And I'm it's again reiterating. I'm not upset about losing to Ohio State. I'm upset about how we lost to Ohio State. Like,
yeah,
that's where it falls for me. Like it's been well reported now across the board that this was the most prepared the team's been for Ohio State. And that's great. Like, that's great that they've made those changes, but at the end of the day, you still have to finish the job. I'm saying you're not guaranteed because there's still 4 games left. If Penn State wins those 4 games, they're going to the playoff. I do not think
yeah,
they're going to lose one of those games. If they lose one of those games, we're going to have a completely different conversation about everything that's been said in here. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
then
Absolutely.
it's a different
I mean,
conversation for everybody. And I
yeah.
think even people who at all costs see the bright side of it, like if he loses one of those games, people are going to lose their minds. Like, and
Oh,
I do not think Kraft will stand for mediocrity. Like Barber is just a dog shit athletic director. Like she's just horrible. Like she's just a terrible athletic director. I mean, the lack of funding is one thing, but she's just a horrible athletic director across the board. Like, and she's
Yeah,
kind of
she
like
didn't
one
do
of those
shit,
people,
man.
like
Like,
one of those people who were like, oh, you know, football or the university doesn't serve football. Football serves the university. Like, I'm sorry, but at Penn State, the university serves football. Like, that is what it is. There was 111,000 people in the stadium. Those 111,000 people aren't there if it's not for football.
bro, it becomes
All
the
those
third biggest
businesses
city in the
in
state.
downtown are not packed out. I went downtown let's talk about this for a second. Friday night, I go downtown, right? And all my buddies are there. We drove up and we get there. We get there at a good hour, like 5:30, I think. We drop our shit, play a little blackjack, obviously, got to get on the tables a little bit. But we get down there, can't get in fucking anywhere. Every place is lines out the door, packed out.
Yeah.
Football is because of that is why. They're not there to go look at the fucking bookstore on Penn State's campus.
Dude, it was like after the fucking spring game.
Football. The university serves football. Simple as that. Simple as that. And Kraft knows that. I know that because I went downtown, couldn't get into any of the places I like to eat in downtown. We had to go back to the hotel and order a fucking handmade pan pizza. So don't tell me that the university doesn't serve football, because it does 1,000%. 100%.
Absolutely. Obviously it's a university, it's a place of higher learning. But football runs that shit, bro. Period. The hell just happened? But it's
little flicker there.
Little lights out. But yeah, man, end of the day, fucking Ohio State was absolutely disappointing. But we move on, man. We got the whiteout coming up this weekend. Are you coming up for that game?
No, I'm not coming up to that game. I have, unfortunately, I have a wedding in Arizona.
Oh, Jesus.
So I will not be there. I will not be.
I mean, I won't.
But I will be watching at 6 p.m. in Arizona. I'll be watching. Actually, funny you ask. On my way home from work today, I got a call and said, "Hey, we got a dinner at this place in Arizona at 6 p.m." I said, "Oh, I don't know who's going to that. Like, not me." They're like, "What do you mean? It's the night before. It's for the wedding." I'm like, "What the fuck does that matter? I'm not going to that." So I called Scott, obviously, and he's like, "I'm not going to that shit. Hell no, I'm not missing that. I'm not." Look, you don't get to have your wedding during football season for one, on whiteout weekend for two, and then ask me to go to dinner after traveling across the country during the time of the game for the whiteout. That's fucking ridiculous. Like,
yeah, that's asking way too fucking much, bro.
You get kicked out of the family for that. That is ridiculous.
Oh, this is a family event too? Oh yeah, they should
family event. And their family,
no, not my
family. Family went to Penn State.
What the fuck are we doing?
What's happening?
James Franklin would be pissed.
Yeah, shout out James. I can see all his tweets now, man. Shout out Elon Musk, man.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Yeah, you're gonna be talking mad shit to him.
I don't I was gonna ask, and I hate to do this while we're recording, but I don't know if there's a link you can send on to the group chat, because I think some of them wanted to pop in here too. I think they had some questions. Probably would be them shitting on us, but fair questions. I did see somebody asked.
What do you mean share a link to them so they can get in here and ask us questions? Just fucking get on YouTube Live.
I don't know if it's on Twitter or not. I don't know. This is our first time doing this, so I don't know.
Oh, they want to get on Twitter? I can't put it up to Twitter. I gotta pay for Twitter to fucking live stream it onto
We
there.
do that. I didn't know if you had like a link on YouTube that you could send in that chat or something with Gmo and all them.
Yeah,
But
I don't feel like paying for the Twitter account, so
no.
I can't. But I don't fucking feel like doing that. So
What is
yeah.
it? I mean, however Ian did, if he could send it, that would have been dope. But if Penn
What do you
State
do?
played Michigan in 2024 in Ann Arbor, who do you think would win?
Wait, what? If Penn State played Michigan in Ann Arbor in 2024?
You got to see it. You'd have to see it. It'd be the same thing.
Like, bro,
It'd be the same thing. Like, how you're gonna say yes? You're gonna say yes, but how?
Yeah, right. Like
how can you say yes?
They're not a top 10 team, so I mean, fuck it. Yes, Penn State would be favored, and they're not a top 10 team. James Franklin's money in them, so fuck it. Yes. Table's fucked.
That's the same thing, though. That's the same thing.
Yeah.
I know they're not Ohio State this year, but that's the same thing. I would have to see it. I would have to see it. Honestly.
Now, the thing about that, though, actually, no, I'm sorry. I take that back. James Franklin's record in Michigan Stadium is atrocious. I'm pretty sure he only has one win in Michigan Stadium. Typically, he gets blown the fuck out in Michigan Stadium. So, nah, I honestly, I might pick the Wolverines to upset us if I'm being totally honest. Like you're saying, bro, we'd have to see it. We know Michigan has a tough defense. We know Michigan can run the ball. Well, we just played a tough defense, and we just played a team that can run the ball. And what happened?
Yep. Well, no, we're not going to get into that. But
now Michigan doesn't have a Caleb Downs, and in my opinion, Caleb Downs was the difference between a win and a loss on Saturday. I will stick to that.
Ransom both.
Yeah. I mean, like, and I say that because he was making plays all around the game. There was one end around play Nick Singleton had. He got to the edge. Caleb Downs made a tackle. It was like a 3-yard gain. Like it was an incredible tackle that not many players would be able to make. So Caleb Downs wasn't able to be bought by Ohio State this offseason. Yes, bought, because that's where we're at in college football now. Maybe that game turns out differently. He totally took Tyler Warren out of the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Tyler Warren still had a good game.
Will Johnson would have clamps on the entire wide receiver corps. Well, the good news here is I see that's Nev. Great family. Awesome tailgate, obviously, as well.
Yeah, he would.
Could have clamps on this entire wide receiver corps, if we're being honest.
Well, this is the thing in our favor there. Isn't Will Johnson hurt?
Bad product. Wide receiver room at Penn State. Bad product. Product. That's what that is. That is not good. Bad product. Yeah,
I mean it's not very good when your leading receiver and running back, or I'm sorry, your leading receiver and rusher in a game against a top 5 opponent is your tight end. Like that's. I mean, you don't give it to him on the 2-yard line. Yeah, and then you don't give it to him on the fucking 2-yard line. Make that make sense.
That's insane. That's malpractice. That's what that is.
He got you down there both times too. Like that's the thing, bro. Kotelnicki, I've loved Andy Kotelnicki to this point. My one gripe, red zone, and my second gripe, that red zone fucking play calling against Ohio State. What the fuck are you doing throwing a fade to Harrison Wallace on the 3-yard line?
I will say,
yes, it was a beautiful ball by Drew too. Like someone made the joke the other day on Twitter. Like, of course, Penn State would have its 5-star quarterback playing like a 5-star quarterback. Its best pure passer we have seen. You and I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And we don't have any fucking receivers to catch the ball.
Now, both times to the goal line, I want to talk about this because the play to Wallace, where again, to reiterate and emphasize, Wallace got bitched on that play.
Yeah.
He got that stolen from him in the end zone.
Yeah.
However, that play, in my, you cannot change my mind with the clock running. I think it was under a minute at that point. That play, when
Yeah,
they
it was.
called that, was either Wallace catches it or it's the clock stops. That's all that was. That's all that was supposed to be. And unfortunately, Wallace got bitched. And unfortunately, this kid makes some miraculous play. Like like what else? What else can you do? You get down there again on first and goal, and in my opinion, the first three plays, I agree with it because I'm
Yeah, like I'm not
saying
even mad at
Katron Allen needs to gain a yard. Can you put
Yeah.
your head down? Like my mind, like for me, and I see other teams do it every weekend when they need a yard. I see the backs do it who are a lot smaller than Katron Allen. Some of these backs on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, whatever, when they get the ball, it's I'm putting my head down. I'm either getting a fucking concussion here, or I'm blacking out, or I'm gaining the yard. Like it's not passive.
Yeah.
It's no shuffling of the feet. It's I'm getting the rock and I'm going a yard. I'm getting this yard. For us, it's not that. It's not downhill. It's just stutter stepping. Like
Well, my
it's
thing is like,
like
what happened
I
to the
don't get
fucking
that.
T formation? What happened to the T? What happened to Full House? Like, I understand you switch coordinators and everything like that, but like, you got to hang on to some of that. Like, that T formation was basically unstoppable. Like, we were running up and down on teams in that T formation. Like, I don't get it, man. Like, it's like you
To me,
said,
the running backs should go to
absolutely.
gain a yard. Like they're running back,
You
and
said what?
also not to take a shot here at AK. Well, it kind of is. It was kind of fucking dumb, but um, why is he going in motion with the guard 3 times in a row at the goal line and taking the guy who would be blocking in the spot where you're running to every play?
Yeah,
Why?
I got
Why are
over
we
that
doing
shit
that?
really quick.
Why are we
Yeah,
doing that? Why? And also on all 3 of the plays, he touched no one. He hit no one.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Just kind of got in the way,
he
honestly.
hit he hit
On
no
a
one.
couple of
And then also like nitpicking here, but it was there. Drew, I mean, how about you fucking pull it and walk to the end zone?
Yeah, and if you're not willing to do it, how about we put Bo in there and do it?
Like
I don't know.
how on
It's a
earth?
read option.
Like
Why the fuck
how?
is Bo not running it anyway?
Please pull the fucking rock and gain a yard. 1 yard.
Or what about going back to Tyler Warren? What about the fucking Tyler Warren package that you were so horny to do last week against Wisconsin that you almost got fucking stuffed at the goal line against them doing? What happened to that?
Yeah.
I
I don't
mean,
know. I don't know. And
and
then
you can't say you got scared and shied away from it because it almost failed against Wisconsin because you fucking did it on 3rd and 5 at midfield against Ohio State. Like,
yeah. And then,
I don't know.
somebody brought this up in our group chat, and I didn't even realize this at the game. Why the fuck is Mills on the field on 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1, bro?
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, if he's a part of the goal line package, whatever. But bro, put your best 11 on the field. What? I'm
Also,
sure
part of-
whoever he got subbed out for, whether it be fucking Reed or fucking Zakee Wheatley, I'm sure they would know how to like. Come on, man.
Also, we talked last week. At some point, you're gonna have to make a tackle, and this is early in the game. Abdul Carter's missed tackle on Howard. Huge play. Huge play.
Yeah.
Huge
Well,
play.
no, Kobe King on Ohio State's response after it's up after we get up 10-0, pick 6. Stadium is about to ready to fucking collapse.
Yeah.
They drive right down the field. Who gets stiff armed through the fucking earth? Kobe King. by Quinshot Judkins of all people. Shout out, or backtrack back to December, January, whenever the hell that was. Man, he probably had flashbacks to Nam when that happened. But
Again, though, not
come on,
complimentary
like,
football.
yeah, we say it every week, man. It's like an echo chamber every
Well,
week.
here's the thing, and I don't know when it comes now. We said it before the Ohio State game, said it before the Wisconsin game. Penn State is was 7-1, right? That's 7-1.
Yeah, yeah.
7-1. Still has not played their best game. Still has not played a
Nope.
complete game. When does
Nope.
that happen? When does that happen? I mean,
Yeah.
it obviously wasn't Ohio State. Someone just put Elliot Washington in the chat. That was the dumbest shit I've ever seen. I don't think the official realizes there is only so many ways someone can get up off the ground in that situation. Like, did you want him to do a fucking pirouette and swing his legs around so he didn't have to walk over him? Like,
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
and that's the thing. Like, maybe he said something to him, but like the way that game was called, they were letting them play. They're letting the plays play out. Otherwise, they would have been calling hold on whoever was on Abdul Carter all fucking game.
They were
They were
letting the
them
boys play by letting Abdul get abused by that tackle.
Yeah. So if you're fucking gonna let them play, let them play. How the fuck are you gonna throw a flag over a word being said? This is football. They're young men between the ages of 18 and 23, 24. Hell, some of these guys out here are fucking 25, 26. Bro, like, I've said the F word 15 times in the past 5 minutes. Like, bro, whatever was said, bro, like,
yeah,
I don't know, man.
I don't get that one. I think the play call was terrible on 4th and goal, regardless, to the short side, as Nev pointed out. But I will say, and I hate to do this, I don't want to say it didn't impact the game, but obviously Penn State could have won the game without this. The defensive holding on Wallace in the end zone was insane. Like, he is bear hugged. Like,
Yeah.
he is bear hugged. Abdul Carter on one of his sacks, like, Donovan, his arms were around his neck. Like I get letting them play. I love that. I think they did let our secondary play, and they let their secondary play clearly.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, man. Like at some point you just gotta throw it. Like,
yeah.
You have to.
It was absolutely ridiculous. And we haven't even talked about any of the calls or anything. Like, what did you think of that incomplete pass fumble in the fourth quarter
Yeah,
to
I thought that was incomplete.
I kind of thought so too. It was close in my opinion.
But they called that a fumble on the field, right?
Bro, so here's the thing. I guess so I saw somewhere someone said one of the officials on the field called it incomplete. Meanwhile, they let the play out. So you had all these different things. I don't know. I don't know what that was, honestly. I really don't know. I was confused as hell. But yeah, I mean, that was right there on the edge. And if you let that play out as a fumble, I don't really think there was conclusive evidence to overturn it. But
yeah,
it's in the past. Yeah. You can't blame that loss on officials. So
no,
I mean,
no,
is what
definitely
it
not.
is.
And all the shit. And I talked to some Ohio State fans after the game on Twitter and obviously on calls and whatnot. And they're like, oh well, that could have got real nasty for y'all. Like without the Will Howard fumble and the miss to Jeremiah Smith coming right at me in my section. That's just part of the game, though. Like that, like it's not. Oh, it could have gotten nasty for you guys, but the reality is, I think it was Wheatley. He punched the ball out. It's not like he just dropped it. Like
Right,
it's not
right.
he punched the ball and it went through the back of the end zone. That's a football play. That's an elite football play, actually, by Wheatley.
Yeah.
Smith, yeah, you missed him, dude. He was running wide open.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, you missed him. Great football play. How about if we score in either of those 2 trips to the red zone? Then what? Then what
Right.
happens? Like, you don't. What if it's a fumble? What if they kept it a fumble and we got the ball at the 45? Then what? Like,
Yeah. I
we can
mean,
do that all day.
Ohio State,
We can do that all day.
Ohio State fans cannot act like this game was dominated in any way. I mean, it felt like it at times. Their offense, like there were times it felt like, holy shit, man, like we cannot get their offense off the field. But then
Yeah.
you look at the score, like the box score at the end of the day, I think they only outgained Penn State by like 60, 70 yards.
Yep. Defense
Which
did its job, man.
is depends on how you look at it. It could be a lot, but it's not that much, in my opinion.
Defense did its job again in another big matchup.
Yeah.
Abdul
I mean,
Carter,
you hold Ohio State to 20 points. I mean, holy shit.
Abdul Carter continues to jump off sides at the worst times. The worst times.
And that was 3rd and 4, wasn't it? That was like 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4. Like
that was 3rd and 2.
The worst time.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I think I can say confidently that this might be one of the more undisciplined football teams that Franklin's had. Like,
Oh yeah,
without question. Like I think that, and then I did want to mention before the game, because I love like the build up to the game in the stadium. That sucked. Like all of that sucked. Like the music was wrong. Like
it was off.
The team ran out. The team ran out to country music. Like I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Like like there was a point where we were on offense and the stadium started playing music randomly right before the play started. I was like, what? Like the sound bites suck. We've used the same one for 10 years. The speakers in the stadium suck. Like we got to like I know there's huge renovation going on. That needs to be a part of it because that shit sucks. Like it really does. It sucks. Like how do you have all these massive games and these massive themes with 111,000 people in there, and the like in stadium entertainment sucks? Like that makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, like every fucking commercial break, it seems they're having some legend come on the field, and I'm not knocking it. I love when they have, former players who did great things come out and hype up the crowd. But it's the same thing every time. They come out and say, "We are" 3 times. Thank you. You're welcome. And then that's it. They play some fucking chips race on the scoreboard, and then we're back to the game. Like, fucking give us something. That's the time to play music. That's the time. I mean, obviously, you can't have a light show during the day, but like, I don't get it, man.
Half the time,
if the mic even works. Yeah, that's the thing. Like at one point, they were playing something. And I was like, bro, I can barely even hear that. And I get the stadium, like I get the crowd is loud and everything, but these speakers are supposed to be overpowering, and I can't hear this shit. Like it feels like it's across the stadium. Do they only have speakers on the south side? Like
it's insane. Like it sounds terrible. So I'm sure that'll be a part of the renovation, but that shit sounds horrible. Like it's terrible. What else happened before the game? Jason Kelsey made a stamp on his visit to Happy Valley. That was cool to see. I'm glad that guy's phone got spiked.
Buddy, what the fuck was up with that? I mean, that was just an all around rough day for Penn State. Bro, what a fucking dick of that. Like,
Big Noon also. It was pretty much shunned, so that was well done.
I did not see how that turned out.
Yeah, they shunned it pretty much. Like game day was packed and Big Noon was kind of a snooze fest. And then what were we gonna say? Oh, like did you want to talk about Washington? Like, did you want to do predictions?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about it a little bit. We'll give our predictions for sure. This is a Washington team that definitely scrappy. Their quarterback is pretty solid. But they've gotten their ass beat by Iowa. So when I see you do that, and I hear you're coming to Happy Valley for the whiteout, granted, it's going to be on fucking Peacock. you should get your ass beat. Now, Penn State coming off of a loss to Ohio State, not a good track record. But the past couple years, 2 out of the last 3 years, the last year against Iowa was a little scary, but or I'm sorry, not I, Indiana. Last year against Indiana was a little scary, but the 2 years before that, you beat the shit out of Indiana and you beat the shit out of Maryland. So hopefully you come out pissed off, realize that you still have absolutely everything in front of you. This loss to Ohio State was not like losses to Ohio State of the past. You still have everything on the table. Technically, you still have a Big Ten title berth on the table. You need a lot of help
Yep.
for that to happen. You needed a lot of help in 2016, though. So never say never. Um,
Yeah.
you still have everything in front of you. So you better come out pissed off, and you should beat the shit out of them. Period.
Very similar
I want
offense
more the
to
crowd
Ohio
turnout's gonna
State.
be.
Very
Yeah.
similar offense to Ohio State. They have a good running back. They do have 2
And the
receivers who are
receivers.
pretty good as well. So it'll be interesting. They'll have to be locked in, but it's at least from what's come out, it seems like the team is taking it by storm. It's not that the Ohio State game didn't matter, but in the grand schemes of what they want to accomplish this year, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It matters probably more to us, like long term, than it does the team, to be honest. But yeah, it's another opportunity for James to, keep righting those wrongs and win after a loss. But I think in the beginning of the year, I absolutely hated that Washington was the whiteout. I think it couldn't be coming at a better time right now. Like they needed it right now,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we know Penn State has struggled in the past coming off of losses to Ohio State. The whiteout certainly helps with that. And like I said, as of recently, seems like they've kind of gotten over that. So should be able to have yourselves a nice bounce back this weekend. Hopefully
Yep.
the fans turn out well. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the fans here are great, but a lot of us were really pissed off after the Ohio State game. So right after the game, I was like, "Ooh, I don't, I don't know what we're gonna see next week against Washington." Like, and I did
Yeah.
see a few tweets about, people are starting to get really pissed off at the fact that it almost seems like we care more about these fucking theme games than we do winning big
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. And
And I kind of agree with that
that's a fair
sentiment a little
comment.
bit. Like it is a very fair comment. Like
That's a fair
at
comment
this
to
point,
make.
at this point, fuck the whiteout, bro. Like you already had your whiteout against Illinois, and frankly, like
Yeah.
between them and Washington, like that's probably who you would have preferred to have it against looking
Yeah.
back. So,
I
mean,
mean, it's a big game
I'm not
though. I
saying
mean,
fuck the whiteout, like, I love the whiteout, but,
yeah.
I mean, who fucking cares, bro? Just show up
Hey,
to the game, be
you
loud.
sweep the newcomers.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
yeah,
Beat Washington, beat USC, beat UCLA. I don't agree with that. I don't think the environment on Saturday is going to suck for who just put them
I
in there. I don't think that's possible, man. Like, and also like, yeah, with what happened at the end of the game with James, right? I think he took that the best way he could have taken it in the press conference with, hey, they have a right to their opinion because like we've said, people are sick of it. Like, would I
yeah,
personally do that with his daughter right there and his family right there? No. Like that's just not, what I think's appropriate with your daughter being right there. If you feel like talking spicy to somebody with their kids right there is a little bit different.
yeah, it takes
Um,
some balls, man.
yeah,
That
and
kid's
then
like a
obviously
fucking
you
hard
walk
pass.
away like a pussy. But yeah, I mean, I think what he said was fair. I think he did own it. I think he did a better job owning it this time around than he has in the past, which is good to see from a accountability standpoint. I guess.
Yeah,
But he is a big opportunity this weekend with Washington because while they do need to win out to make the playoff, statement wins would go a long way too. Um,
yeah,
but I don't. I don't really give a shit about the helmet stripe game. Like I think that's just that we can go away with that. I just think that's dumb as shit. Like I don't
yeah,
like you want to have the whiteout. That's a spectacle. That's the coolest thing in sports, in my opinion. I might be a little biased, obviously, but I think that's the coolest thing in college football.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so cool looking, man.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's just so cool. And the stripe out, pretty much every major football team does a stripe out. So
right.
those two themes are
Baseball
fine.
does.
But that's it, dude. Stop making stuff up. Like, stop making stuff up for the themes. Like, just let people, show up to the game. If it's not the whiteout, it's not the stripe out. Just wear whatever the fuck you want, man. Like, go
Yeah.
win the fucking game. Like, that's what we care about. We care about fucking winning. Like, I think that's like what you're saying. Like, when we get caught up in these themes and, oh, what do I wear in this section? Like, dude, I just want to fucking win. Like, you
Yeah.
can wear fucking pink for all I care. I don't care if the stadium looks like a giant fucking pussy. Just fucking win the game. Like, I don't care. Like, I won't care. I promise you the student section won't care either. Like,
No,
but
I
they
mean,
got
they will wear their white regardless. Like, they don't have to think about it. They're fucking wearing white. So, I
like,
mean,
it's what it is, man. Also, shout out Family Clothesline. Hey, they must have heard us. Hey, I went by. It didn't rain, so kind of fucking pointless, but there were white ponchos. I respect that. Now,
yep.
grow from that.
There
This
are
weekend,
107,000 of them.
we need 111,000 ponchos this weekend, all white ponchos. Simple as that. Simple as that. Don't make it difficult. What I'm saying, this
Yeah, I guess we
weekend,
got to up that number a little bit now, huh?
whiteout, State College, Penn State bounces back 24-10. They cover the 13. I don't think the over hits, but 24-10 is what I'm going with for sure.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how Penn State comes out, because I do think that they can come out and get a resounding victory. I do think they will. It's just a matter of how many points they're going to score. And I don't mean that as any disrespect to Washington. Washington is a good football team. They do have 4 losses though this year. So I mean, let's keep it honest. I think Penn State, Andy Kotelnicki, hopefully gets back into his bag. I don't know what the fuck that was on Saturday, but get back into your bag. 31-17. Penn State wins.
So you have them covering as well.
Yeah. And like you said, I could very well see Washington scoring less, because I do think that was a game for Penn State's defense that, granted, there were a couple blown plays. It felt like they were miscommunicating a lot in the first half. There were missed tackles. At the end of the day, they held Ohio State's offense to 31 points. So maybe that's the type of game that, kind of kicks your ass into gear a little bit more. The rest of the season, they had a pick six for the second week in a row. So, maybe you get a scoring contribution from defense again. But,
how about
we'll see.
we finally started fast in the game and we lost?
Yeah. Incredible.
That was crazy. What other
Maybe
games? Like what other games can we pick this week?
I didn't even really look at the slate this week. I just wanted to talk about Ohio State. I was just so ready to talk about that.
Geez.
What are the games, man?
I mean,
Do you have a lock of the week?
Lock of the week is Alabama over LSU.
Ooh.
That is a huge fucking, like, I didn't even realize that's a massive game.
Yeah. Basically, whoever loses that is probably going to be out,
yeah,
in my opinion. So, yeah.
Fuck. I mean, we forgot to talk about this.
Well, not probably. They will, because, LSU lost. So, yeah, whoever loses is going to have 3.
We forgot to mention this. And, I don't obviously like bringing up the mouth-breathing idiots that they are. But, man, thank God that Pitt lost this weekend. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
man. Yeah, that made my Saturday night a little bit better. I didn't even want to watch college football after that loss. But, yeah, shout out to SMU for pulling through for us Penn State fans.
Well, yeah. Who you got? LSU or Bama?
Give me Bama, because I think Williams is going to go crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, and Milrow.
Right. What about
LSU's defense without Pickens? Or why did I say Perkins? Yeah.
What about South Carolina at Vandy?
So I'm gonna pick South Carolina in that game, man. That
Shout out to you.
was the type of win for South Carolina. That was the type of win that is going to give you some momentum and push you forward. And Vanderbilt, I mean, yes, they've had a great season. I could see them winning, but it's Vanderbilt. So yeah, who you
And
got there?
lastly, Michigan, Indiana.
Well, who you got? Who do you have in the Vanderbilt game?
I mean, I'm going South Carolina as well. I feel like Q's riding a high right now. Q's a South Carolina fan that we know.
Yeah,
I feel like Q's, got the boys playing. I feel like he's got the boys playing.
Q's got the
Um,
first playing.
but Pavia is nasty. Like
Yeah,
Dandy's quarterback is dope. So
yeah,
I
he's
don't
a dog.
I don't know. I'll take South Carolina. But I think
I
it'll be
think
a good
Dylan
game.
Stewart is going to humble him.
Yeah, he's a freak, man. He's so
Yeah,
nasty.
he's insane.
He's
I'm glad
nasty.
he's not on Ohio State.
Yeah.
You said Indiana, Michigan. Oh, where's it at?
I mean, does that? That's the third person I've heard say that. Does that matter for
Yeah.
Indiana? Like, does that? It's a
Yeah,
game.
bro. Did you see that environment
Indiana.
when they played Washington?
It's at Indiana.
It's at Indiana. Give me
Yeah.
Indiana. Give me Indiana. They play Michigan tough every time Michigan goes to Bloomington.
I'll take Indiana, but I'm taking Michigan plus 14.
Oh yeah, definitely. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about that game, man. Michigan has won. I think it's 42 of 43 of those matchups in that series, like absolute domination. But obviously, this year has played out the way it has. But like I said, Indiana, like for the past few matchups, obviously excluding Michigan's magical runs these past 2 years, but Indiana we plays them well. So yeah.
The last one, Georgia, Ole Miss. It's at Ole Miss, if that matters to you.
No, give me Georgia.
Yeah, I think that's going to be belt to ass records, and I think that game might have like 65 points scored in it.
Lane Kiffin is James Franklin, bro.
Yes, he is. I'm glad that's coming to light finally. But I love Lane Kiffin. I would take him at Penn State just because he's a psychopath. But he is.
He's a great troll, bro. It's funny because they're both trolls too. Like James Franklin is a smartass.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin is a straight up troll.
Yeah. He's James with a better social media presence.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
And Lane's offense is fun, but God, he's so disappointing.
Yeah, he is.
With that type of offense, bro, at a program like that, like, come on, man. You shouldn't be losing.
Similar, man.
Very similar. It's ridiculous. But he did beat James Franklin head to head, so.
Yeah. That bull was bullshit.
Yeah, fuck that game. But anything else we want to talk about, man? We've been doing this for an hour or 3 minutes now.
No, we're cooking. I mean, unless anybody has any questions, I mean, appreciate pulling up to the first live. I know a lot of our group chats in here.
Yeah. Might be doing this more in the future.
Shout out Rich. Pulled up to the Nittany Pod at the game.
Oh yeah. Much appreciated, brother. Yeah, that was awesome, man. Looking forward to some more of that in the future. Yeah, we might be doing some more of these lives, man. I'm gonna keep this linked up to when we record, so you might see us more on right here. So keep it locked. Yeah. Really appreciate all you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for your support. Make sure you are liked and subscribed. I know a lot of you guys listening right now are, but if you're listening to the show after the fact, those of you listening right now, share it with some people. Make sure you're liked and subscribed. Really appreciate you. Have a wonderful night, and we are. Hell yeah, bro. That was fucking dope.